thought leader, and more than 40% of the representations sent by the chamber have been accepted by the government.
Thanks to the massive infusion of funds announced by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Rupees 30 lakh crores under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan for various segments of the economy and rupees 100 lakh crores for infrastructure Gati Shakti master plan. India now stands at an inflection point with the expectation that our economy is set to achieve $5 trillion GDP by 2027.
During this global pandemic and travel restrictions too, the PHDCCI has organized more than 600 national and international events and conferences in virtual, physical, as well as hybrid modes. We have also been simultaneously enriching the lives of millions fellow citizens through our CSR IMR platform. The two foundations, namely FWF and RDF, represent our deep dedication through their interventions for environment protection and well-being of marginalized population. In the past year, we put relentless efforts to alleviate the sufferings of COVID-affected population through financial contributions as well as relief works and support programs.
The members of the PhD chamber once again rose to the challenge during COVID-19 crisis by contributing over rupees 528 crores towards the PM CARES Fund. And through its Family Welfare Foundation, we are contributing 12 oxygen plants for hospitals in Delhi, Haryana, Maharashtra, Himachal Pradesh, and Rajasthan.
We must appreciate that India has world's largest coverage in terms of vaccinated population, mostly based on indigenously manufactured doses. We call upon all stakeholders and citizens to defeat the menace of the ongoing pandemic by getting ourselves vaccinated and observing COVID-appropriate behavior. As our Honorable Prime Minister once advised us,
the post-COVID-19 order will be about relearning, rethinking, re-innovating, and reinventing in almost every field.
PHDCCI believes that India shall emerge as a leader amongst the world economies in its Amrit Mahotsav. At this historical juncture of India's emergence, the PhD chamber stands like a pillar of strength for the industry and in solidarity with the government to make our nation an economic powerhouse. PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry symbolizes progress, harmony, and development. For the last 116 years, PhD CCI has been serving the nation. PhD CCI reaches out to 150,000 companies with focus on the development of large, medium, and small businesses. PhD CCI has co-opted national and international industry associations and organizations through over 151 global MOUs and more than 60 domestic MOUs. With access to governments and international forums, PhD CCI ensures that the voice of our members is heard by those who make decisions that ultimately affect their bottom line.
The mission of the PhD CCI is to provide a proactive leadership role by providing quality services, to act as a catalyst for rapid economic development and prosperity through promotion of trade, industry, and services, to strengthen technological advancement through effective industry-government research partnership, to emphasize productivity, improve work ethos, and encourage business ethics, to effectively project credibility and commitment of business to the society at large. To support its members, the Chamber has expert committees, state committees, and task force. PhD CCI brings together intense research, ideation, and advocacy to support businesses. They support the members proactively through intense research and advocacies. Not only members, they also support the government in formulating prominent policies that support economic growth. With this, the Chamber brings out a unique opportunity to network nationally and internationally. PhD at its headquarters in Delhi and its regional offices at Chandigarh, Jaipur, and Lucknow provides unique facilities for conferences and business networking events to its members. The prominent services of the PhD CCI are ideation and research on topical issues through expert committees and task forces, advisory services to business on corporate affairs, taxation, finance, capital markets, etc., certification services for origin of goods for exporters and other documents, capacity development through trainings and workshops, interface services with central and state governments, corporate social responsibility through voluntary organization. So, an association with PhD CCI would add value to your business. PhD CCI offers memberships under the categories Patron, Star, Ordinary, Association, and Professional. Benefits to Patron and Star members: get opportunities to be part of the managing committee, may get opportunity to be the chair or co-chair of various committees, opportunity to be a delegation member to meet government and statutory bodies, get branding and publicity, to avail the facilities of the library and business lounge of the PhD Chamber. The patron members and star members will have their logos displayed on the PhD website and PhD bulletin. Additionally, special discounts to members availing PhD CCI's infrastructure facilities. For more details, please visit our website www.phdcci.in. We welcome you to join PhD CCI, be a part of the golden story of more than a century, and be a part of the nation's growth.
In the passage of time, informatively, an era takes shape and attains eternal growth. That Amrita, or immortal era of India, has blissfully propelled by the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, standing at its 75th years of independence, is poised to shape its era of growth and preeminence.
अमृत काल का लक्ष्य है एक ऐसे भारत का निर्माण जहां दुनिया का हर आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो.
While celebrating Amrit Mahotsav of its independence, PhD CCI, along with the entire nation, offers heartfelt homage to the freedom fighters, defense forces, doctors, and frontline warriors for their supreme sacrifices and invaluable contributions. A true forerunner of Indian aspirations since 1905, PhD CCI has been a proud partner of nation's growth journey so far. PhD CCI has been taking persistent steps in congruence of Atmanirbhar Bharat mantra, endeavoring unceasingly to augment partnership and investment.
We must celebrate a glorious journey and keep the resolve to continue working together for nation making and deepening India's footprints across the globe. As a peaceful country and one of the fastest growing economies of the world, India offers a great hope today, and our efforts will further vitalize its prominence in the world order.
Our commitment is the part of our legacy, keenly directing the interests of business and merchandise community of India, while working in tandem with the government and policymaker Our legacy has been a continued chronicle of meaningful contribution towards taking the nation on the path of prosperity. A national apex chamber which reaches out to 150,000 businesses and one of the premier chambers in India to have been accredited with diamond grade by NABED QCI at national and international level. PhD CCI extends best support to the stakeholders from the close quarters. We have been contributing in 6 thrust areas: industrial development, education and skill development, infrastructure, health, housing, agriculture and agribusiness. Essential to put the economy on the fast track. Our engagement in these thrust areas will go a long way towards supporting the Gati Shakti Abhiyan, announced on the historical occasion of 75th Independence Day, marked as the beginning of Amrit Mahotsav of the Independence.
PhD with its wings spread across 17 states through local chapters, hopes to help the unicorns of tomorrow grow wings and help them take the first flight. PhD CCI takes pride in its continuous dialogue with the government as well.
PhD CCI continuously contributes towards structural improvement in export and logistics infrastructure, supply chain management and value chains of MSMEs and startups, and simplification of various export incentive schemes with the aim to push the growth trajectory of exports to the next level. Enhancing India's export competitiveness along with catalyzing diversification of export markets have been priorities for us during the ongoing Amrit Mahotsav.
PhD chamber opines that the allocation of 100 trillion for Gati Shakti for building a foundation for integrated infrastructure growth will surely speed up economic recovery. This increased spending on infrastructure will have a multiplier effect to rejuvenate the aggregate demand in the economy, particularly for sectors such as cement, metal, power, and more importantly, also generate jobs. The Gati Shakti master plan is expected to boost infrastructure by integrating key modes of transportation, railways, highways, inland waterways, and airports, thereby reducing logistic costs.
The chamber has been a thought leader, and more than 40% of the representations sent by the chamber have been accepted by the government.
Thanks to the massive infusion of funds announced by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, rupees 30 lakh crores under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan for various segments of the economy, and rupees 100 lakh crores for infrastructure Gati Shakti master plan. India now stands at an inflection point with the expectation that our economy is set to achieve $5 trillion GDP by 2027.
During this global pandemic and travel restrictions too, the PhD CCI has organized more than 600 national and international events and conferences in virtual, physical, as well as hybrid modes. We have also been simultaneously enriching the lives of millions fellow citizens through our CSR IMR platform. The 2 foundations, namely FWF and RDF, represent our deep dedication through their interventions for environment protection and well-being of marginalized population. In the past year, we put relentless efforts to alleviate the sufferings of COVID-affected population through financial contributions as well as relief works and support programs.
The members of the PhD chamber once again rose to the challenge during COVID-19 crisis by contributing over rupees 528 crores towards the PM CARES Fund. And through its Family Welfare Foundation, we are contributing 12 oxygen plants for hospitals in Delhi, Haryana, Maharashtra, Himachal Pradesh, and Rajasthan.
We must appreciate that India has world's largest coverage in terms of vaccinated population, mostly based on indigenously manufactured doses. We call upon all stakeholders and citizens to defeat the menace of the ongoing pandemic by getting ourselves vaccinated and observing COVID-appropriate behavior. As our Honorable Prime Minister once advised us,
the post-COVID-19 order will be about relearning, rethinking, re-innovating, and reinventing in almost every field.
PhD CCI believes that India shall emerge as a leader amongst the world economies in its Amrit Mahotsav. At this historical juncture of India's emergence, the PhD chamber stands like a pillar of strength for the industry and in solidarity with the government to make our nation an economic powerhouse.
PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry symbolizes progress, harmony, and development. For the last 116 years, PhD CCI has been serving the nation. PhD CCI reaches out to 150,000 companies with focus on the development of large, medium, and small businesses. PhD CCI has co-opted national and international industry associations and organizations through over 151 global MOUs and more than 60 domestic MOUs. With access to governments and international forums, PhD CCI ensures that the voice of our members is heard by those who make decisions that ultimately affect their bottom line. The mission of the PhD CCI is to provide a proactive leadership role by providing quality services to act as a catalyst for rapid economic development and prosperity through promotion of trade, industry, and services, to strengthen technological advancement through effective industry-government research partnership, to emphasize productivity, improve work ethos, and encourage business ethics, to effectively project credibility and commitment of business to the society at large. To support its members, the Chamber has expert committees, state committees, and task force. PhD CCI brings together intense research, ideation, and advocacy to support businesses. They support the members proactively through intense research and advocacies. Not only members, they also support the government in formulating prominent policies that support economic growth. With this, the Chamber brings out a unique opportunity to network nationally and internationally. PhD at its headquarters in Delhi and its regional offices at Chandigarh, Jaipur, and Lucknow provides unique facilities for conferences and business networking events to its members. The prominent services of the PhD CCI are ideation and research on topical issues through expert committees and task forces, advisory services to business on corporate affairs, taxation, finance, capital markets, etc. Certification services for origin of goods for exporters and other documents, capacity development through trainings and workshops, interface services with central and state governments, corporate social responsibility through voluntary organization. So, an association with PhD CCI would add value to your business. PhD CCI offers memberships under the categories Patron, Star, Ordinary, Association, and Professional. Benefits to Patron and Star members: get opportunities to be part of the Managing Committee, may get opportunity to be the chair or co-chair of various committees, opportunity to be a delegation member to meet government and statutory bodies, get branding and publicity, to avail the facilities of the library and business lounge of the PhD chamber. The patron members and star members will have their logos displayed on the PhD website and PhD bulletin. Additionally, special discounts to members availing PhD CCI's infrastructure facilities. For more details, please visit our website www.phdcci.in. We welcome you to join PhD CCI, be a part of the golden story of more than a century, and be a part of the nation's growth.
In the passage of time, intuitively, an era takes shape and attains eternal growth. That Amrita, or immortal era of India, has blissfully arrived. Propelled by the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, standing at its 75th years of independence, is poised to shape its era of greatness and preeminence.
अमृत काल का लक्ष्य है एक ऐसे भारत का निर्माण जहां दुनिया का हर आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो.
While celebrating Amrit Mahotsav of its independence, PhD CCI, along with the entire nation, offers heartfelt homage to the freedom fighters, defense forces, doctors, and frontline warriors for their supreme sacrifices and invaluable contributions. A true forerunner of Indian aspirations since 1905, PhD CCI has been a proud partner of nation's growth journey so far. PhD CCI has been taking persistent steps in congruence of Atmanirbhar Bharat mantra, endeavoring unceasingly to augment partnerships and investments.
We must celebrate a glorious journey and keep the resolve to continue working together for nation making and deepening India's footprints across the globe. As a peaceful country and one of the fastest growing economies of the world, India offers a great hope today, and our efforts will further vitalize its prominence in the world order.
Our commitment is the part of our legacy, clearly directing the interests of business and merchandise community of India, while working in tandem with the government and policymaker. Our legacy has been a continued chronicle of meaningful contribution towards taking the nation on the path of prosperity. A national apex chamber, which reaches out to 150,000 businesses and one of the premier chambers in India, to have been accredited with diamond grade by NABED QCI at national and international level. PhD CCI extends best support to the stakeholders from the close quarters. We have been contributing in 6 thrust areas: industrial development, education and skill development, infrastructure, health, housing, agriculture and agribusiness. Essential to put the economy on the fast track, our engagement in these thrust areas will go a long way towards supporting the Gati Shakti Abhiyan, announced on the historical occasion of 75th Independence Day, marked as the beginning of Amrit Mahotsav of the Independence.
PhD, with its wings spread across 17 states through local chapters, hopes to help the unicorns of tomorrow grow wings and help them take the first flight. PhD CCI takes pride in its continuous dialogue with the government as well.
PhD CCI continuously contributes towards structural improvement in export and logistics infrastructure, supply chain management and value chains of MSMEs and startups, and simplification of various export incentive schemes with the aim to push the growth trajectory of exports to the next level. Enhancing India's export competitiveness along with catalyzing diversification of export
Good morning. I can see that we have a few guests still at the door. May I request you to start making your way to the seats? We're all set to begin. This is day 2. And without further ado, we would like to make use of collective time to get this conference going. So we give ourselves a few more seconds. May I request everyone to please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, I request your attention again. this time to formally welcome you. But before we begin or proceed any further, may I request you to rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you so much. We now invite hosts as well as dignitaries who have come to join us for the conference on the dais. I would like to invite Shri Vivek Sehgal, Assistant Secretary General, PhD CCI. Mr. M.K. Gupta, Chairman, PhD CCI Defense and HLS Committee. Mr. Hari Mohan, ex-chairman and Director General, Ordnance Factory Board, Ministry of Defense. Air Vice Marshal Sudhanshu Saxena, retired consultant, Munitions India Limited. Major General Dr. Bipin Bakshi, AVSM, VSM, Deputy Director General, Manohar Parikar, IDSA. I'd also like to invite for the special address our guest, Srimati Alka Nangia Arora, Joint Secretary, Ministry of MSME and CMD NSIC. So she's going to be joining us very, very soon. I'd also like to invite Ms. Mercy Ipao, Joint Secretary, Ministry of MSME, Government of India. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vasanthi Hari Prakash. I have great pleasure in being your host for the second day as well. I come from the world of radio and television. And as I mentioned, I'm a media entrepreneur. It gives me great delight to say stories of a changing India. We now also have a very special guest in our midst, the Deputy of Defense Minister, Government of Kyrgyzstan, Mr. Alikbek Ibrahim. Please join me and put your hands together in welcoming a very special guest of honor. Today's topic is almost an organic progression from what we were discussing yesterday, the role of MSMEs in strengthening the defense and security sector. Today, we are talking about the challenges and opportunities in indigenization and modernization of security needs. But before we invite our speakers, we have special tokens of memento from our organizers. May I invite Shri M.K. Gupta, Chairman, PhD CCI, Defense and HLS Committee, to offer memento to the guest of honor, Shri Ibrahim Alikbek, Deputy of Defense Minister, Government of Kyrgyzstan. I'd like to invite the Secretary General, Colonel Saurabh Sanyal, to offer the next set of mementos for our special guests. Colonel Sanyal, if you could please come up on stage and offer it to Mr. Hari Mohan from the Ministry of Defense, ex-Chairman and Director General. May I request Ms. Mercy Ipao to offer the memento to Air Vice Marshal Sudhanshu Saxena. We really look forward to the address by each of these speakers. I'd also like Ms. Mercy to offer mementos to Major General Dr. Bipin Bakshi. Thank you so much, Ms. Mercy Pao. So here to set the context once again, as we have the second day of the second International Conference on Defense and Security, brought to you both by the Ministry of MSME as well as the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I invite Shri M.K. Gupta to deliver the welcome address.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of PhD CCI, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Shri Narayan Tatu Raneji, Honorable Minister of MSME, Government of India, who would be giving the virtual address. Shri Mr. Ibrahim Akilbek, Honorable Minister of Defense, Deputy Minister of Defense, Government of Kyrgyzstan. Shrimati Alka Nangia Arora, Joint Secretary ARI, Ministry of MSME and CMD NSIC, who would be joining us very shortly. Ms. Mercy Ipao, Joint Secretary MSME, Ministry of MSME, Government of India. Shri Hari Mohanji, Ex-Chairman and Director General, Ordnance Factory Board, Ministry of Defense. Air Vice Marshal Sudhanshu Saxena ji, Retired Consultant, Munition India Limited. Major General Dr. Vipin Bakshi, AVSM, VSM, Retired Deputy Director General, Manohar Parikar, IDSA. Foreign delegates from Bulgaria, Spain, Kyrgyzstan, and other countries, industry members, friends from media, and other dignitaries who have joined here today for the meaningful and timely international conference supported by Ministry of MSME. PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry has been working as a catalyst for the promotion of Indian industry, trade, and entrepreneurship for the last 116 years, with a reach of more than 150,000 direct and indirect members. It's a forward-looking, proactive, and a dynamic pan-India apex organization. As a partner in progress with industry and government, PhD Chamber, with a special focus on Indian MSMEs, works at the grassroots level with a strong national and international linkages for propelling growth, harmony, and integrated development of the Indian society, Indian economy. The Indian armed forces have been undergoing rapid modernization over the years. There have been progressive upgradation of weapon system and platform in keeping our threat perception. India has made great breakthrough in the terms of artillery guns, but the technology edge required to modernize its equipment is yet to be as desired. 68% of the defense purchases under modernization will be purchased from the domestic center, as you must have heard yesterday from Shri Sanjay Jajoji. Government, in its negative list, they have already come out with the 3 lists. Army has also come out with their list, and another list is being prepared under MOD. Has included light combat helicopters, artillery guns, many such items which will not be imported by anyone, thus encouraging self-reliant India. The government is taking the right steps toward becoming Atmanirbhar, but there is need to boost defense PSUs and give them specific tasks to fulfill the desire of defense sectors. Efforts are being continuously made to bring a new policy to bring private sector involved. However, it still needs a lot to be done in terms of holding and uplifting them and assuring them that their efforts will not go wasted. In the current geopolitical situation, it has become vital for India to maintain its regional autonomy. India needs to assert its presence and sovereignty over the border regions, and for that, it needs to be modernized defense products and strategic autonomy over such defense products. This strategic autonomy can be achieved by having a self-reliant defense industry, which would ultimately strengthen the Indian economy as well. To create a security framework, India needs to strengthen its surveillance system, which require inducting of modernized radars, drones, so that suspicious activities and trespassing at the border areas can be detected at the earliest. India also needs to understand that it cannot depend on emergency purchases of defense equipments during the times of crisis, which has been seen during the recent border clashes with our neighboring country and the rising tension along the northern borders. Aiming to make India a manufacturing hub is a step taken in the right direction under ambit of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Promoting investments in R&D, production in defense sector will prove as significant in enhancing the manufacturing defense products and creating employment opportunities. MSMEs have already contributed significantly to defense manufacturing with thousands of quality products, mainly at the subsystem, sub-subsystem and component levels. As much as 50% of the manpower engaged in the manufacturing in India is engaged in MSME. I would specially invite the participating MSME to interact with the foreign delegates and diplomats of foreign countries to explore the mutual business opportunities in defense and allied sectors. I look forward to very, very meaningful discussions during the conference and hope to cull out implementable suggestions in the interest of the industry. Jai Hind and thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta. And the urge or the appeal to the SMEs, MSMEs to interact with all the delegates, I'm sure is going to be well taken. We have our next speaker who will engage with the audience during the Q&A session. That's something that he has said and promised to us. We did hear him yesterday, and I'm referring to Mr. Hari Mohan, ex-chairman and Director General, Ordnance Factory Board, Ministry of Defense. What I would do is to present his introduction at this time and leave, as per his request, something that is going to be during the Q&A session. So Mr. Hari Mohan is someone who comes with a background of academic excellence, having won the Ordnance CVRD trophy, the General A.S. Vaidya Prize for being the top ranking postgraduate student of the Defense Institute of Advanced Technology in the field of combat vehicles. He comes with varied experience, right from the steel sector to the manufacture of heavy, medium and small caliber ammunitions. Interestingly, he was instrumental in obtaining the approval of the Cabinet of the Government of India for financial and business restructuring of SAIL in Feb 2000. As a technocrat, Mr. Hari Mohan has been part of many government delegations deputed for international cooperation in the field of defense technologies. The reason why I have presented his introduction is that while you have questions to ask him, and we do ask you to keep your questions ready, you can bear this background in mind. Meanwhile, it's my pleasure to invite our next speaker, another very distinguished guest in our midst, who has served the Indian Air Force for 35 years, superannuated in the rank of Air Vice Marshal as Assistant Chief of Air Staff at the HQ in September 2018. I'm referring to Air Vice Marshal Sudhanshu Saxena, Consultant, Munitions India Limited. Please join me in welcoming him.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my proud privilege today to stand here and interact with the august gathering which we have. The topic, the subject, challenges and opportunities in indigenization is the most apt topic what I can say today. I have been a maintenance engineer, as ma'am has just covered, in Indian Air Force for 35 long years. And if I may say, only a maintenance man knows the issues when we have to depend on OEM or foreign vendors for each and everything. You know, the smallest of items, mostly we talk about engines, propellers, blades, or various big items when we come to getting it from sources in country or abroad. But you will be surprised to know that when I was handling the most prestigious MiG-29 and MiG-21 fleets at air headquarters, we used to get stuck many times for want of rivets, structural rivets, our planes getting grounded for the want of them. Why I introduce my topic in this manner is that each and everything what we have in our inventory, we have to carry it for many, many years. The user always looks at the life cycle of the equipment which we have. Yes, I will say that it's not that we have woken up to the need of indigenization today. I can recollect as far back as 25 years from before, Air Force has held a big exposition in 1993 called Ind-Air. Some of the old timers here will definitely remember about that, indigenization of Air Force. And what we used to do at that time is hold a, bring industry, operators, designers, everybody together. And we used to hold an exposition also. These are the things which we need as of now. These are causing obstacles in our everyday operations, maintenance, etc. However, I will say the kind of hand-holding which was required from the side of the ministry for the government was lacking at that time. The clarity which we have today in terms of the DPP, DAP, the procedures which have been, very, very clearly, which bring out the route, how to proceed with these things were not available. So that was the time that, yes, industry used to be always take down our requirements, go back, but always we used to get stuck for getting the basic drawings, transfer of technology. And of course, one of the main things was the MOQs also. All the industry friends here are well aware of this problem, that many times our requirements are not that much to attract their investment. That is another difference which we have made today, that our perspective plans are very, very clear, and they were clear, but they were not so transparent. Today, you have a time when if you open the internet and at least I can talk about Indian Air Force very confidently, that we have sites which give full details of the requirements, which are production houses, which we call base repair depots, are facing, along with their nomenclature, their pictures, their requirements over the next 5 to 10 years. So this is where we have progressed over the years. And by all the efforts, through our DRDO agencies and the industries, today we can say that the Tejas, the pride of India, is having almost 60% indigenous content by value and 75% by numbers, and almost 90+ in case of radar. This is a major achievement. It is no small, achievement by any means, because this is where we have, proven that once we, move together, we adopt a synergistic approach, we handhold with the industry, we can really make difference, and we have proven to it. The challenges, of course, remain always, as I told you, that the transparency of the requirements, the availability of the basic informations, specifications, drawings. But let me tell you, once we have been, seen as a major partner, the industries of India have progressed so well that I find during my interaction with the foreign OEMs, the vendors, that they are now more than willing to share with their, information for the items which we have basically sourced from them. Because today we have reached a stage when not only we are making for ourselves, we are even exporting the items from here. and major assemblies and major equipment, especially defense equipment. So this is all industry efforts and industry's cooperation was always there. I will say, standing here today as a, after serving for so long in Indian Air Force and maintaining the fleets from the highest highest echelons. And it was always there. It was only that we were not able to convey our requirements in a proper manner, which can give them a, far vision, the route, how to proceed with them. And the environment, everybody knows today that government is more than willing to, share it. And the lists which the ministry has issued, whether you call it negative import list or positive indigenization list, it gets a confidence to the industry today here that yes, we are serious about it. We are serious about getting things within country, because the one who can look after himself is the best today. We are seeing every day in today's world. So what I want to say that in this August gathering today, that what efforts the government has made toward bringing all the stakeholders together, we have to capitalize on that. And we have to understand everything. Again, I will say Indian Air Force per se has got a very well built-in system to inform the organization, the industries, what are our requirements, how do you proceed, whom to contact, because that was another issue. Today, now after serving Air Force for 35 long years, I may say I am on the other side of the table. I was with Ordnance Factory Board earlier, and now I'm with one of the largest defense PSUs under Ordnance Factory Board, Munition India Limited, that many times we are not clear how to proceed for a certain things. All that has been removed, and it has been made very clear. If any one of the industry friends want to know about that, they can please meet me during our break sessions. It's all available in open domain. And I'm sure so is the case with Navy, Indian Navy and Indian Army. So time has come to move forward. Time has come to help each other, and time has come to achieve whatever maximum we can get in this. Thank you very much.
Air Vice Marshal Sudhanshu Saxena, very interesting to hear your perspective of someone who's been on both sides, as you yourself said, when it comes to the indigenization and the role of MSMEs. I would like to acknowledge the presence of some very special guests in our audience today, the presence of Vice Admiral G.S. Pabby, former Chief of Material, Indian Navy. Thank you for coming, and we're also delighted to have Her Excellency, Mrs. Eleonora Dimitrova, Ambassador of Bulgaria to India. Thank you so much for being in our midst today. I'd like to now invite the next speaker, having heard a perspective from the Air Force side. Now for the Army, Major General Dr. Bipin Bakshi, AVSM, VSM retired Deputy Director General Manohar Parrikar, IDSA. I welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm really grateful to PhD for calling me here for this very special session. We live in very exciting times in this particular industry, opening up, the indigenization happening, as was spoken yesterday by Shri Jaju. Now, I notice I stand here and I am giving you a slightly different perspective. I am the one of the third side. What she just said, that he's been on one side, that is doing the maintenance, the second side doing the production. I am the user. While doing trials of a parachute, I have jumped out of an aircraft. I'm a paratrooper. Trying out a new parachute, not knowing whether it will work or not, I have jumped out of an aircraft. I've been doing trials of all kinds of equipment for over 30 years, from winter clothing to machine guns to parachutes. I've also been in the NSG. I've been doing trials of anti-hijack equipment. So I will just give something from the user side, which I think till now we have not touched too much about. So I'm taking this opportunity to slightly take it on that side, as I mentioned. We who are doing the trials, or the soldier who is doing the trial with that weapon which you have produced, is putting his life on the line even during the trial. So while we move in fast forward, we are doing whatever we want. Please don't forget this part. And I'm not saying that we want the best weapon in the world. We want a good weapon. Maybe even with the L1 weapon in my hand, I can give you victory over an opponent who's holding the L2 weapon. That is my skill. But don't subjugate everything else just to cut corners, to cut costs, to cut timelines. Give me a good weapon. Give me something I can rely on. And give me something which I can sustain in war, which I can maintain. And I have faith in that weapon. And I have faith in the system. That is why I jumped out of the aircraft in the first place. I could have refused. So give me something which I can have faith in. So I'll just like to put that bottom line a little bit to keep it at the back of your mind. To go ahead, yes, it should be preferably indigenous. But as a soldier, I'm not really bothered who made that weapon. It should work. There were talks yesterday about the very long procurement procedures, very torturous trial procedures. Mention was made that we will cut down the trial timelines to 4 months, etc. Yes, what I would like to and it was also mentioned that probably in the past, the trials have been very stringently done, and there was a hint made that indigenous weapons were deliberately put down. The statement was made from here on the other hall. I would like to state, as the person, at least to my knowledge, doing the trials, I would subject any equipment to the same stringent parameters, whether it is indigenous or whether it is foreign. It went through the same mill. I'm not saying it was a good procedure, but I'm saying it was fair, to my knowledge. So let's not get away with that impression. Now, coming on to the cutting of the timelines, we are very happy with it. We would like to have the weapon faster, or the equipment faster, or the drone faster, because if I don't get it within a little finite time period of a year or two, technology is developing so fast that what I thought of today, if it comes to me after 5 years, it's already outdated. In the equipment life cycles, as it is, you have an induction timeline, you have a utility timeline, and then you have an obsolescence timeline. So I'm on a handicap from day one if the weapon comes to me late. So we are fully with the idea of a faster trial. We are looking forward that it should be done faster. But at the same time, I would only request, there are certain things which are sequential in the trials. Certain things can be done parallel. So if something has to be sequential, for example, I was testing some machine guns in the desert, and the same machine gun, after firing 5,000 rounds, had to go to the snow. Now, I don't want a different machine gun being tried in the snow and a different machine gun being tried in the desert. It has to be sequential. So how do you are going to manage all this? We have to look at it. We have to be involved. So all of us have to be involved. And I'm very hopeful we will find better solutions. But do keep in mind, again, I'm saying it's a life and death issue for us. It could make the difference between victory or defeat in battle too. So it's not just a bottom line or a top line or a profit issue. The overall procurement process was also spoken of yesterday. There are a number of steps in it. I'm very happy to hear what the government is doing. Tremendous steps, what were voiced yesterday by Sri Jaju. Tremendous. And we have been witnessing it. We've been hearing about it. Very bold, very good steps. In that steps, one element which he also did make a mention is about the training of the procurement staff. And he mentioned that the best thing is to keep the government out of it, but you cannot keep the government out of everything. At various steps, the government officials are going to be involved and the military officers are going to be involved. Both of them need to be more trained than to do just a tenure like he mentioned yesterday. A person comes, he may be coming from the state, he may be coming from the oil ministry. Today he's here for 3 years and he's doing equipment trials. Is he trained? Same for the military officer. I'm in the field. I've been in the mountains. I've been in Kargil. And now suddenly I'm looking at buying drones. So maybe I need training. So if we want to make progress in a better manner, I think we need to train our people too. And with all these issues being kept in mind, we look forward to the best involvement of industry, MSME, the government, and I'm sure we will be able to produce a sustainable, future-ready force which will give us victory in battle. Thank you.
Great address, spoken like a true soldier, keeping it raw and real for us. Thank you so much. May we hear it once again for Major General Bipin Bakshi for placing all these very important points for consideration. For our guests who are particularly from outside the country, the Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis, New Delhi, is India's foremost think tank for advanced research in international relations, especially defense, strategic, and security issues. I would now like to invite our guest of honor. We would have his translator as well, the Deputy of Defense Minister, Government of Kyrgyzstan, Mr. Akhilbek Ibrahim.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Уважаемые участники сегодняшней второй конференции обороны и безопасности, в первую очередь хочу поблагодарить принимающей стороны за теплый прием и гостеприимство и за такую четкую организацию данного мероприятия.
First of all, I would like to thank the organization for inviting me in this second conference on defense and security, and I'm very pleased to participate in this conference today.
Я занимаю должность заместителя министра обороны Кыргызской Республики по материально-техническому обеспечению.
So I'm looking after the material procurement of the Kyrgyz army, Kyrgyzstan,
который курирую по обеспечению вооружения военной техникой и материальными средствами.
so which will looking after the trial and maintenance and procurement of the military equipment for the Defense Ministry of Kyrgyzstan.
Я 3 года назад посетил Республику Индию первый раз, и в ходе визита мне удалось посетить несколько заводов, посмотреть условия труда, которые созданы для рабочих. Это немаловажный вопрос, потому что все зависит от рук производителей и рабочих.
3 years before, I got a chance to visit different equipment making factories in India, and it was a very good experience for me to see how people are making and how it could be used. And it's a very advanced technology that I saw, and I like that I came back again.
Также посмотрел имеющиеся на заводах оборудование и выпускаемые, производимые товары отечественными производителями Республики Индия.
And I also saw some trial of different equipments made and arms and weapons and make how they are making and how they are getting tried. And I like that, and maybe we will see in the future.
Все функционирующие оборудования заводские, также производимые товары соответствуют и отвечают требованиям мирового стандарта.
And whatever the system I saw in India, they are world class, and they give all the responses which is needed in today's military world.
В настоящее время правительством Кыргызской Республики прорабатывается вопрос о подписании меморандума о военно-техническом сотрудничестве между Кыргызской Республикой и Республикой Индии.
So right now, the Defense Ministry of Kyrgyzstan is looking to write a memorandum of an understanding with the Ministry of Defense and different PSUs and private sector, so that we could have some joint ventures in near future.
И вчера в ходе конференции нам удалось по инициативе представителей фирм, производителей Республики Индии организовать встречи с производителями и предварительно обсудить вопросы по поставке необходимых материалов и комплектующих запасных частей.
Yesterday, I came to know from some people here that we could arrange some meetings in Kyrgyzstan also, where different people from our industry and Indian military could sit and talk about the plan, how to see the weapons and how to discuss and how to buy things from India.
Нас очень интересовал завод по модернизации вооружений военной техники, а именно БМП-1, БМП-2, а также реактивной артиллерии.
And we met with the representative from the LNT company, and we have been working with them, and we are seeing the modernization process. And very soon we are going to give some good contract to them. And BBMP1, BBMP2, it is underway, and it was a very good meeting between us.
Необходимо отметить, что в Республике Индии особое внимание обращает местным производителям, отечественным производителям, и все необходимая техника и другие материальные средства повседневного спроса производятся исключительно только на территории страны.
So it's very interesting that Indian government is giving a lot of options and a lot of improvement for the Indianization, modernization of the defense industry in India. It's good for the country that our member Bharat scheme is being seriously launched by the government of Israel.
Я думаю, это результат особого уважения местным производителям и создания необходимых условий для сбыта отечественным производителям со стороны правительства Республики Индии.
This proposal of the government is encouraging for the private sector and the government sector, so that they can come together for making India and exporting outside India like our country.
И в заключение хотел бы еще раз пожелать всем здесь присутствующим, особенно производителям фирм.
So I give a lot of thanks and best wishes to all the participants here, the manufacturers and the exporters.
Я думаю, что в любой стране в первую очередь должны особое внимание обращать отечественным производителям.
In any country, the focus should be on the local for local, the Indianized things. The local people should be getting the preferences. It helps the country.
И оказать всестороннюю помощь в сбыте производимых товаров.
And it encourages making good things for the country and for the people and for the export.
Только местные производители могут поднять экономику страны.
The local manufacturer can help for the making economic growth of the country.
Создать рабочие места.
And they can create a lot of job opportunities for the local people.
И показать мощь государства.
And they can also comment that they are also capable of implementation of the defense sector.
Уважаемые участники сегодняшней конференции, значит, еще раз хочу пожелать всем крепкого здоровья, всех благ и успехов в вашем производстве.
Once again, very warm wishes to everyone participating in the conference.
Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you very much for that.
That would be indeed very, very valuable. Meeting with the people and the industry in Kyrgyzstan. We would like to thank our guest of honor, Shri Aligbek Ibrahim, for his special address. We now have the Honorable Minister speaking, Shri Narayan Taturani, Honorable Minister for MSME, Government of India, who would be virtually addressing the gathering.
उपस्थित मान्यवर नमस्कार। यह जानकर बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि पीएचडी चैम्बर और एमएसएमई मंत्रालय रक्षा और सुरक्षा पर दूसरे अंतरराष्ट्रीय सम्मेलन का आयोजन कर रहे हैं। भारत सरकार की मेक इन इंडिया पहल का एक मुख्य उद्देश्य सूक्ष्म, लघु और मध्यम उद्यमी को रक्षा आपूर्ति श्रृंखला में लाना है। इस प्रकार रक्षा में देश की आत्मनिर्भरता को बढ़ावा देना और तेजी से बढ़ते हुए रक्षा निर्यात बाजार में योगदान देना भी है। एमएसएमई प्रत्येक अर्थव्यवस्था का एक मुख्य घटक है। भारत में 6 करोड़ से अधिक पंजीकृत और अपंजीकृत एमएसएमई है, जो देश के व्यवसाय के 80% के बराबर है। एमएसएमई पहले से ही हजारों गुणवत्ता वाले उद्यमों मतलब उप प्रणाली और घटक स्तर के साथ ही रक्षा उत्पादन में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान देते हैं। भारत में उत्पादन में 50% जनशक्ति एमएसएमई में लगे हुए है। मंत्रालय एमएसएमई के लिए सुगम और किफायती टेक्नोलॉजी उन्नयन और क्षमता निर्माण के लिए एक रूपरेखा भी बना रही है और साथ ही हितधारकों को विशेष रूप से एमएसएमई की सेवाएं देने के लिए टेक्निकल उन्नति की क्षमता का प्रयोग भी कर रही है। मंत्रालय एमएसएमई क्षेत्र के विकास में पारंपरिक सुदृढ़ भूमिका के लिए काम कर रही है और अंतर सरकारी भूमिका पर हर प्रकार की सहायता की आशा करती है। वित्त तक पहुंच से सुधार करने के लिए मंत्रालय द्वारा विशेष कदम उठाए जाएंगे। प्रौद्योगिक टेक्नोलॉजी में उन्नति के ध्यान में रखते हुए मंत्रालय एक समर्पित तरीके में एमएसएमई क्षेत्र में प्रौद्योगिक विकास और गतिविधियों को प्रोत्साहित करने वाले एक केंद्रीय संस्था का विकास करेगा और इस कौशल विकास के लिए शुरू किया जाएगा, जहां आवास और शहरी कार्य मंत्रालय ने NULM ग्रामीण विकास मंत्रालय के NRLM कौशल विकास मंत्रालय की स्कीमों आदि जैसे मंत्रालयों की विभिन्न स्कीमों का जिला स्तर पर तालमेल का लक्ष्य है। मैं पीएचडी चैम्बर की शानदार सफलता की कामना करता हूं। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Minister Shri Narayan Rane sharing with us the special programs of the government, even especially in these skilling parts that the ministry intends to offer. We now have the Q&A session. I would request members of the audience to take full advantage of the fact that we have a very diverse panel. You've heard the speakers this far, and if you have your questions, this is the time to ask them. Yes, sir.
Somebody should give him mic.
Yeah, if he can be given a mic. I also hand the floor over to Shri Vivek Sehgal, Assistant Secretary General, PhD CCI. You may ask your questions, sir.
First of all, we should be grateful to Major General Dr. Bakshi and Air Vice Marshal Sudhanshu Saxena ji for highlighting the precise lacuna in the quality of weaponry. Since I had also been in the ordnance factory, I would like to point out to the board that there is a lot of obsolescence in technology in ordnance factory. 58 ordnance factories are there. Now 7 companies have been formed. So I would like to know what steps the board is taking for technology transfer from developed countries who are manufacturing good quality of weaponry so as to revamp the ordnance factories. Because infrastructure, lot of infrastructure, lot of land is there in the 58 ordnance factories which have been confounded company. If we don't come to the, as Major General Bakshi has rightly pointed out, that the weaponry quality is also changing and we need versatility in the operations also. That precisely is lacking in our ordnance factory. So I would like to know what technology transfer and how to remove obsolescence and modernization so that our armed forces are equipped with modern weaponry to take care of the security of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Over to you, Major General Bakshi.
That's not to me, I think. I'll request someone else to answer that.
Can we request Hari Mohan ji to answer then?
Mr. Agarwal, I don't know that when have you visited the last ordnance factory? Yeah, so there is a lot of change. Okay, first of all, there are 41 ordnance factories and not a 58 factories. Okay, now the ordnance factories basically cater for the requirements of Indian Army for the land warfare. They also meet some requirements of Navy as well as of Air Force. The naval weapons and ammunitions are manufactured in ordnance factories, and Air Force also many ammunitions and many other items are manufactured in ordnance factories. If you look at the modernization or keeping pace with the technology, I think somebody who has this impression that these ordnance factories are outdated, they must visit some factory. The CNC machines and NC machines came in this country sometime in 1985. And heavy vehicles factory, Avdi, Chennai, one of the ordnance factory, it had more than 1,000 CNC machines under single factory. I think nobody in the country would have at that point of time. So if somebody has this impression that ordnance factories are not keeping pace with technology, I think that's totally a wrong impression. We have multiple access machines. We have robotic material handling arrangements at Ordnance Factory Ambazari. We are going for Industry 4. We are operating on Industry 4. And as per the requirements of the product which we are making, we have almost state-of-art technology. Radial forging facility, we are the only, maybe one more company. Otherwise, we have only at Metal and Steel Factory, Ishapur. The shell, 155 shell, 130 millimeter shell, manufacturing those shells, there is an elaborate technological setup at Ordnance Factory Ambazari. All explosives and chemicals required for ammunition making, they are manufactured within ordnance factories. And I can very proudly say that we are keeping pace with time, and we have the latest plant and machinery in the ordnance factories. You see the plano miller machines, multiple axis plano miller machines on which the whole tank body can be loaded, and you can, precision machining to the level of microns you can make. So if the whole problem is that ordnance factory is slightly security oriented, the industry gets very little opportunity to visit their facilities, and sometimes even they are averse, they do not exhibit, they do not show their technological capabilities. That is why sometimes some people get an impression as if these factories are outdated. The Sri Rajnath Singh, the Raksha Mantri, he has visited one of the factory, Ordnance Factory Ambazari, on 17th of January 2020. He was there for 2 hours, and he made a proud statement to all the 4 secretaries of Ministry of Defense. The Defense Secretary, Secretary Defense Production, Secretary Ex-Welfare, Ex-Servicemen Welfare, and Defense R&D Secretary. To all the 4 secretaries, the RM himself made a statement that ordnance factories are keeping pace with technology. So this is not the forum to praise about ordnance factories, and this is the forum is for a different purpose. So I would stop here. And I hope it answered the question of Mr. Agarwal.
Thank you, Shri Hari Mohan ji, for clearly elaborating on that and saying that we are way ahead of the 60s and 70s into 22 and from here onward. The next question, please, from anyone? Yeah, please.
Hi, myself Pravas. I am from US India Blockchain Council. I run an accelerator and fund and working with the defense for nearly 4 years as a part of Startup India scheme, Startup Challenge, Defense Challenge. So my question to General Bakshi, by the way, I belong to an army family, so I completely agree with you what you have just said. But my question is, most of the time when we talk about MSME and startup, Ministry of Defense, it's a very centralized ecosystem when it comes to decision making. My question to, can it be decentralized? Because honestly, there's a lot of innovation happening at school, grassroots level, as well as college, university level. So why don't actually Ministry of Defense decentralize the decision making and start innovation labs at various colleges and universities in India? Second thing is, why not we are actually doing any defense exchange programs with other countries like UK, USA, and other delegates who are already here? Thank you so much.
So would you like to take that?
I'll definitely try and answer part of it, and I'll request the wisdom of others here too. So firstly, about decentralization. So in fact, I had very little time to prepare my talk. One of the things I was going to say, yes, we need to decentralize. And I will carry the experience I have from the NSG. In the Ministry of Home Affairs, the level of decentralization is much higher. In the military, except for a certain special powers, and they have been enhanced of late, of course, but in the MHA for decades, the decentralization is much higher. A Director General of the NSG, a Director General of the CAPF, of the CRPF, always had decentralized powers. In fact, there was a time when I was trying to buy the MP5 from Germany, and my contract was not going through. I latched on as a 25% additional amount on a CRPF order for the same equipment being pursued in the same financial year. That is the level of decentralization they have. It's not conceivable in the army, in the military. So decentralization, yes. Besides decentralization, I would like to mention something which I was discussing in the break with somebody, the Mark 1, Mark 2, and a partial quantity procurement. We should not be waiting for the big bang all the time. That if I need 429 aircraft, I must buy all 429 in one go. So I think the government is also thinking on these lines. Okay, let us take us 36, which we are doing, like the Rafale. Similarly for the rifle. It, of course, militates against the concepts of uniformity and maintainability, because you want the same family of equipment across your force for interchangeability, for sustenance, for maintenance. But that is something which technology can handle. So yes, we should decentralize. Yes, we should look for Mark 1, Mark 2, and we should look for partial procurement timelines. Thank you.
Thank you, Major General Bakshi. May I request Air Vice Marshal? Yeah, please.
Probably what you wanted to know means, because of the centralization, there is a delay in the decision making. This is what your intention of asking this question is. See, there are many changes which have taken place. First change which has taken place, you have seen in the Ministry of Defense. The procurement of military equipment and all the stores, when army wanted to buy, they had to take approvals from MOD. Now there is a big change which has already taken place in the MOD, that there is a Department of Military Affairs. So there is a clear-cut delinking. Whatever army wants to buy, they can process through DMA. Now they need not to come to MOD. And DMA is mostly all the officers are from the military, and that is why this is a step in that direction, that user gets more freedom to take decision in all the acquisitions and procurement which has happened. Second thing is your lot of equipments and military stores for army are manufactured by ordnance factories, and these 41 ordnance factories were all together, and through Ordnance Factory Board, they were again reporting to Ordnance Factory, to the Ministry of Defense. And for any major decision making, these factories were to come to Ministry of Defense. And in government, a lot of rate tapeism is there and lot of bureaucracy and lot of time it takes for getting the decisions. So that deshackling has also been done by the government. All the ordnance factories, they have been converted into companies. Now there are 7 companies, 7 board of directors for all the companies, and almost all the decisions what they require for smooth running of those factories, they can take themselves. So that is again a step in the direction of decentralization.
Thank you. Thank you. I like to also, I think, not only have comments from Air Vice Marshal Sudhanshu Saxena on this, as also, I think one of the points which he was referring to was collaborations and research being done in various other institutes. And now that you're also the consultant with Munitions India Limited, one of the offshoots. So would you like to comment on that, please?
Yes, of course. If he was asking, the absorption of technology is always a gradual process. We all know it. I will like to quote here scientific advisor to Raksha Mantri, Shri Arunachalam, when he said everybody was asking him about LCA, that the fighter aircraft cannot be made in a jiffy. This is the word he used. I still remember. I was a student that time. Because how many countries have made a fighter aircraft till date? Isn't it? We should be proud that we are still a young nation, I will say that. And when we are producing. Now I will tell you, even from the time of MiG-21, this was a fleet I was associated with, we do it in stages. Whenever an aircraft is procured, Rafael sir has given an example. We have taken limited number, hopefully we'll take more. But for MiG-21, MiG-29, Su-30, I will say that it is done in 4 stages. First stage is directly bought out aircraft. Second stage, we get the major kits, breakdown kits, and we start assembling them. Third stage is we get the rotables. Rotables means major assemblies. And we start assembling them, making them kits and making the full aircraft. Fourth stage is raw material stage, we call it, when we produce the material also, the metallurgy also, which is used in this. And finally, we are making ourselves, even MiG-29, we are doing it. Indian Air Force itself is doing, not that HAL is doing. MiG-29 overall is with Indian Air Force. And in that overall, a large number of times, we have to produce components also. Similar cases with Su-30. Su-30 engine is a very, very technology intensive item AL-31FP. We have a very, very state-of-the-art line at Koraput, Sukhoi Engine Division, we call it. So it is always a gradual process and we are open to it. We keep absorbing the technology and a stage comes, that's how we have reached the stage of 60% or 75% in case of Tejas also. Yes. Okay. Yeah, once again, like General has said, the indigenization per se, the enhanced powers give us the local commanders freedom to involve academia also. And in a large number of projects, we have involved institutes, IITs and IISc and regional NITs also, now we call it. And they are helping us, especially in software, electronics items. As far as if you specific case of Abhinandan, if you ask me, he was traveling in a aircraft of 1960s, MiG-21, and there was no way he could have been helped. It has, after all, got a radius of action, and by that radius of action, it defines the radar coverage. So that has nothing to do with technology advancement. In his exuberance means he had to attack, and the 24 aircraft coming into our territory is no joke. And he went into, he chased them. and he did a very good job. We are very fortunate that he survived. So there is a lot of interaction between academia. Yes, I never used to see this when I was a young officer, let me tell you, but with the freedom and enhanced parts of indigenization, we approach many institutes. We have a proper technology development board also at Air Headquarters, and similar, I am sure Army Design Bureau is there, and Navy is also been always ahead in these things. And similar is in case of cyber security also. Air Force has got its own CERT team available. And but I am not a cyber expert. I will restrain myself from making any statement here. I'm basically a mechanical engineer who specializes in armament. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for clarifying. Yeah.
Mr. M.K. Gupta, if you give me a chance, I am Colonel Rawat. I am the defense coordinator at Government of Uttarakhand. What he is asking actually is happening. If you go to Army Design Bureau in the Army Headquarters as well as the Air Headquarters and also the Naval Design Bureau, which is already there. So I will clear his doubt first, and then I have a suggestion for Ms. Mercy Pao. Ma'am, I'd like to suggest few things to make sure that the MSCBs at the national level are getting the input from MOD in a direct way to the states rather than having a central repository at the at Delhi only. Firstly, to answer you, there is a national mission on cyber physical systems, and they are having 25 centers for which the Department of Science and Technology has allotted 3,600 crores, which are to be spent for next 5 years. This is with the Indian Institute of Science as well as all the IITs and triple IITs. In fact, the IISc and IIT Roorkee, they are having this particular thing for defense. You can speak to me separately on this issue because for IIT Roorkee and IISc Bangalore, I am also the advisor for their defense verticals. The suggestion which I had was, I am a serving officer who's in Uttarakhand government, who's helping the MSMEs as well as the industries for getting into the defense field. Now, in any organization, it is the people, processes, and the procedures. And ma'am, the procedures and processes are excellent as far as the MSCB is concerned. I'm in the industries department in Government of Uttarakhand. I know it very well. The problem is people. There are no service officers, whether from Army, Navy, or Air Force, which are there in the states who can really guide the MSMEs of the state, because these kind of meetings or the seminars will happen maybe once in 2 months, 3 months. Sometimes the PhD chamber who will do it, sometimes SIDM or somebody else. But the major question is there is no single point contact at the state level which can help the MSMEs to come into the defense field. As sirs have General Bakshi as and the Air Vice Marshal and also Harimohan sir has already told that there is a dire requirement. Yes, it is there. I am interacting with the OLF as well as the OPTEL continuously, because I am a service officer which can see both sides. It becomes much easier, very well coordinated. Whereas, people were referring here that it is very difficult to go into a, I'll say, ordnance factory. It is even more difficult to go into Sena Bhavan in the south. So, a serving officer from Air Force, Navy, or Army certainly will help the MSMEs in the state to overcome this major issue of how to open the gate for the MSMEs at all the state levels for doing business with the defense. I will only point out one thing, that sir, the capital acquisition is still with the MOD. It is only the revenue procurement which has gone under the DM. That is the major issue, and all the MSMEs who are sitting here are actually eyeing the capital budget, which is a bigger budget, by at least 40 to 50 times than the revenue budget. So that is what my suggestion was to the Joint Secretary MSME, that ma'am, you will like to look into this particular issue, that how at the state level the coordinations can happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your additional information as well as a question. Yes, I have a gentleman right at the back. Can we have the microphone with me?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to ask the question. My name is Sunil. I represent some innovations, both indigenous and some international ones. My questions to the dais, anybody can answer this. If there are industries who want to develop some innovation, where can the testing done and where those facilities? I mean, how do you work on this?
So, Harimonji, would you like to take it?
Currently, in the country, the research and development come under the ambit of DRDO. And DPSUs and ordnance factories, they also venture into doing research and development. And every production unit, they have the testing facilities. Like for variety of ammunitions, proof and testing, we have a proof range at Balasur, which comes under DRDO, where all the major ammunitions are tested, even component testing is done there. We have another proof establishment at Itarsi. There also ammunition proof can be done. Ammunition factory Khadki, there it has a proof range. Ordnance factory Khamaria, Jabalpur, it has a proof range. Trichy ordnance factory, it has a proof range for the small arms weapons. So like that, the nature of product which you would be interested in, whosoever is producing that product in the country, they would be knowing as well as sometimes even having the testing facility.
Thank you. I think we'll be, I think, taking a disadvantage back home if we don't dwell on the knowledge of one of our audience people who are so very knowledgeable. Can I request retired Vice Admiral Pabi to, who's been the head of Navy on material planning, to actually add on to, the answers which we are trying to give from the dais, especially related to collaborations or somebody who just wants to start off, where does he go? So it'll be really nice to dwell on this by you, dwelling on this by you. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a great supporter of MSMEs, right? And I'm happy to see that a lot of work has been done in the recent past, and a lot of policy initiatives have been taken to help MSMEs and to guide them to get into defense production. But if you look at it, the satisfaction level and look at it, where the challenge really lies, it's basically the defense production is very unique kind of work. There's a lot of investment required, right? There's a lot of gestation period before you see the actual product. And then there's a little assurance about the future orders, and the numbers are limited. So we have been handling MSMEs as a block in a slightly isolated manner. Why don't we think of combining MSMEs along with some big industry, private or PSUs or DPSUs, and forming a consortium so that the big companies can guide MSMEs and then they can take them forward. So just a suggestion, have a look at that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, can we have the mic to the gentleman here? Please identify yourself and a quick question with a question mark behind it, please.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Sarjeet Dudeja, consultant advisor on Science Center. I think Mr. Gupta or General Bakshi. Yeah, so we had a very successful collaboration with Russia and BrahMos, but it never happened again because of Pillai. So recently we are facing a problem of semiconductors, microchips. Semiconductor is a big issue for India, and Prime Minister has come out with a proposal to be indigenous. So what is the now initiative taken by government? To what extent we are successful?
You have addressed it to me regarding these new processes for producing semiconductors in India. Is that right? Okay. So I'm not exactly the expert on this field, but what I know is that yes, among what somebody had said earlier, that there are a number of center of excellences being set up with the academia, and they are looking at developing the ecosystem, training engineers in the vicinity of the IITs, who will be able to work in these semiconductor plants. So I'm also just, speaking from the media. I'm not an expert in that field. As regards BrahMos and other collaborations, I will ask some of the others to speak. But again, coming back to the fact that I wanted to give this in my initial talk, the relevance of hard power, the relevance of BrahMos missiles, tanks, guns was taken to be fading in the last 15 years. In the last 15 years, there was a thought process that hard power, missiles and nuclear weapons have seen their heyday and are no longer relevant. The war is now subconventional, it is hybrid, it is cyber, and these big weapons have no place. I've been seeing this over the time. Very suddenly in February, what Russia has done in Ukraine has overturned all this. So again, these big weapons, conventional forces, the need for nuclear deterrence has suddenly revived. So we need to look hard at these things, but I request the wisdom of other people on the issues.
Yeah. Mr. Gupta, would you like to comment on that? No. Okay. All right.
Well, I have one question.
Sure.
Well, I have a question from chamber side, since we are a MSME chamber predominantly. I have a question for Shri Hari Mohanji. Being one of the MSME is a great challenge, like what product they are making, how to identify which factory or which DPSU will be requiring that MSME in particular is producing. This is one. How can one become a regular and established supplier with a particular defense PSU? Sir.
First of all, the first question, what I understand is that how an MSME can find where there is an opportunity for that company. It was extremely difficult to know where I can have some business, whether I should go to heavy vehicles factory Avdi, or whether I should go to Bharat Electronics, or whether I should go to BEML, or whether I should go to ammunition factory. Where do I go and I can find some matching product which I can make, or some component which I can be a supporter of that particular DPSU or a defense manufacturing company. Government has really come out with an excellent idea, and they have created a Srijan portal. And now what they have said, that all the defense organizations, whatever they are importing, all that should be listed on the Srijan portal. And though there are very limited details, but it gives you a clue that, okay, this product or this component or this subassembly or this subsystem can fall within my manufacturing range, and I can think of developing this item and develop that business vertical. So that is what an initiative has been taken. There are teething troubles, but still there are more than 17,000 items which have been listed on the Srijan portal. So you get some clue that where to look for. That is the part one, the first question. The second question is how do I become a regular supplier or regular vendor or regular associate to the defense manufacturing companies? See, when you become a qualified vendor to a defense manufacturing company, you get regular tenders, and then you are likely to get regular orders. In case of 41 ordnance factories, which have become now the 7 DPSUs, there the procedure is that they issue a open tender, a source development tender. And if you have the capability in that for manufacturing that particular item, you can participate in the open tender. And once you complete one order against the open tender, then you are successfully, if you complete the one order, then you are likely to become a qualified or established vendor. And then whenever they go for next cycle of procurement, you are likely to get a tender, and which will be a limited tender, and where your chances of getting order are more as compared to the open tender. This is the procedure in the ordnance factories, on the 41 factories. And I think there must be some similar procedure in the other DPSUs,
which of course I am not aware, but I hope that there should be something similar there also.
Wonderful. I think that also answers the question which I think we had somebody asking from there, so 17,000 products you got to choose. So you have enough choice and you know where to go to quite easily. Do we have any other question from the audience? Yes, the lady there, of course.
So my question is for General Vipin sir.
Can we have your name and your...
My name is Rini and I am a starter. So when sir said that he doesn't know the parachute will work or not when he do the user trial, but isn't it sir that parachute has already gone through rigorous testing by DGQA or other agencies? Because user trial happens only after testing by a competent authority. So that parachute must.
Okay, you want to ask that specific instance? It was a parachute made by GQ company from UK. It was a direct import in an emergency situation. We were not having enough parachutes. And like I'm saying, I was just a young paratrooper. I'm not very sure what the system was.
Okay, no
it was a foreign parachute made by GQ company from UK. And in front of me jumping was a civilian person from GQ company. He was in civil dress with normal kids, and I was just amazed, without helmet and without boots. Normal jump, he jumped in front of me and I jumped behind him.
Understood. And sir, when you said sequential testing must take place, as in 500 rounds in desert and 500 rounds in Siachen or minus 24 degrees. But if you talk about startup, when they invest in a technology and if you do that 500 rounds in desert and 500 rounds in Siachen, it will take at least 1.5 years, which is a very long time for a startup to survive without any orders or without any confidence, etc. So we can cut that to maybe 100 rounds or something. So that sequential testing will happen, but the number of rounds a gun need to be fired can be reduced. Because ammunition and all those things and Khamaria and all those things, that needs lot of confirmation from higher authorities, and at times they do not get that kind of ammunition.
Well, the kind of trials I am talking about, I was using my ammunition because it was a common caliber. It was also 7.62. So there was no burden of cost on the industry. They only gave the weapon.
But there's a burden of time.
The burden of time is very heavy on me too. I'm sparing my men. I'm scheduling it within my training and my other commitments to get that done. Well, the trial has to be done. Can it be done simultaneous, that you send one weapon to the desert and one to the higher altitude and hope?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we can cut down on the rounds, number of firing. If there is 500 rounds, we can get it to 100 maybe. And it will be sequential only.
So I will request some other ammunition expert to talk about it, but I will come back to what I said. I need to have faith in that thing, and maybe I need 5,000 rounds and not 500 rounds, but I'll request someone else to speak.
Okay, no problem. I think that is
Let me slightly, first of all, there is a difference in the philosophy of industry and scientific community and the philosophy of services. Services, generally, they would look at कि जो भी आप हमको सामान दे रहे हैं वो मेरे यहाँ युद्ध में चलना चाहिए. वो जो आप अंग्रेजी बोल करके मुझे बताइए कि ये वेपन में इतनी क्वालिटी है और ये वाले टेस्ट हो गए, वो वाले टेस्ट हो गए, ये उनको आसानी से अप्रिशिएट नहीं होता है. Kindly, I am coming with. So they want that whatever you are giving me and I am going to fight in the war, I should, जब मैं चलाऊं तो वो वेपन चलना चाहिए, बस. ठीक है, उनका सिंगल रिक्वायरमेंट है, there is nothing wrong in it. Only thing, before you hand over to them, you explain to them, this test has been done, this test has been done, this test has been done, and you have to scientifically convince them that the two tests can be done parallelly. Like summer trial can be done in summer on one weapon, and if a weapon produced from an identical source, then you take a second weapon for the winter trial. Not necessarily कि हम एक weapon का पहले उसका summer trial करेंगे, उसी weapon का फिर winter trial करेंगे, उसी का फिर drop test करेंगे, फिर उसी का test. ऐसा जरूरी नहीं कि एक ही weapon को करो. पर ये चीज हमको जो भी हमारे डिसीजन मेकर्स हैं इन procurement agency in services, we'll have to convince them that scientifically convince them. And I'm telling you, if we put it across properly, they are willing to listen because they are also interested in acquiring the weapon as early as possible. The sequencing of the testing affects the industry. It also affects their procurement cycle. Their procurement also get delayed. So it's a disadvantage to both. But when we go to the users, we have to scientifically convince them that how all your requirements are getting met. The third, the thing we are talking 500 rounds, why don't you reduce to 200 rounds? See, there are statistical methods, there are well-established methods as per which number of rounds are determined. Now, if you are not able to appreciate why 500 rounds have been specified, then somebody has to explain to you why 500 rounds. So you cannot simply, it is not just out of blue, somebody saying 500 rounds. Why, if 500, why not 200? It has been statistically determined based on the acceptance quality level and based on the what is the quality level of the ammunition. So based on this, these figures are arrived at scientifically based on statistics. They are not just out of blue.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Manufacture the defense items. कोई ऐसा ordnance factories में some days fixed wherein they can see the samples and they can note down the products which the ordnance factories want. Say quarterly meeting or monthly meeting or some samples displayed are there. So many MSMEs can.
अभी आपको जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, सब कुछ सुजन पोर्टल पर अवेलेबल है और जाने के लिए ordnance factories में already I think there was a system created that once in a month they are holding meetings, an open meeting with all the vendors, and where any vendor can join that meeting, and during that meeting you can discuss and also ascertain that what kind of products they are procuring and what they will be interested and what is the product which probably it will fall in your business domain.
Okay.
If you have 1 minute.
Yeah, please, sir.
I would like to tackle the first part of the lady's question. Ma'am, I must tell you, development of parachute is a very intricate process. All safety features are taken. You must have heard of an organization called CEMILAC, Center for Military Airworthiness and Certification. They have a publication which is available in open domain, Design and Development of Military Airborne Stores, DDP-MAS. And a parachute, as sir has said, becomes an airborne store. Now, right from the stage inspection, first is design validation, then stage inspection, and finally, when it has passed all the tests by these independent people, you know, they are independent of the agency, the dummy drops are done. So what sir has said is probably a different case, but dummy drops are done, and then only we subject a live trial. But having said all this, a live trial is a live trial. We have to keep our fingers crossed. Yes, after taking all the safeties.
Okay. Absolutely.
And we have an agency called ADRDE, Aerial Delivery Research and Development Establishment at Agra, which is the prime premier DRDO agency for development of parachutes. They have been developing now parachutes for space applications also. No,
so
no, I'm just trying to tell you that yes, we do take care of everything. I understand. You are not criticizing. Probably you wanted to know.
All right. Okay. Any other questions from the audience?
One small question.
Yes.
This is one idea that how to incentivize the MSME.
Your name and where are you from, please?
From Myro Group Company Secretary. My question is that, like for the bigger company, we are having PLI type of schemes. Then for the MSME, there should be some schemes so that these efforts can be further incentivized. And one of the proposals is that PSU's government is having so many companies which are in the defense sector. So can't this MSME be part of the subsidy of these companies so that there's no issue of financial requirement time and again?
Subsidiary of a PSU.
PSUs, good companies.
Collaboration.
So that there's no financial issues.
Would you like to take
Because I'm a
that from
financial
a
guy, I
munitions
see a lot of heat
India
comes
point of
in the
view?
financial sector.
He's better at.
Yeah, this is exactly what I mentioned, right? Because MSME don't have the bandwidth to invest in indigenization or to do that R&D, which can be handled by the PSUs or DPSUs or big private players. And then the actual work can be done by MSMEs. So when you're placing an order, it can be stipulation that it has to be collaboration of MSMEs with some big player, or some 20%, 15% of order has to go to MSMEs from those orders which are placed on the bigger companies.
Can I come?
Yeah, I think Mr. Gupta wants to comment on that. Please, sir.
There is a technology development fund which is available with DRDO, and all the defense and aerospace related projects, they are absolutely open and they are willing to take up in case like there is a project for related only for aerospace and defense, and they can invest up to 10 crores on each project, provided it is, suitable to them and suitable to the requirement of the forces. And in that, 10 crores fund, 25% is available for CapEx and 75% is available for OpEx. So I think that can be one of the areas where the MSMEs can make use of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think coming that from an industry perspective also talks about the hands-on experience, when we talk about this. Any other questions from the audience?
I'd like to speak a little more on the parachutes, if you permit.
Please, sir.
Because firstly, the questions have run out. Secondly, I think we are waiting for Ms. Alka, the JS.
Yeah, we were going to request some of our foreign delegates who haven't spoken,
Okay. Yeah, we can do
no,
that.
but after you, please.
No, first priority to the foreign delegates.
So Mr. Armando, would you like to ask, discuss, say something all the way from Spain here with us amongst? Can we have the mic handed over to Mr. Armando?
Hello, this is Armando Salvador from GCI in Spain. Nowadays, in this global world where we are, we depend on each other more and more. Countries are specialized in chips manufacturing. Other countries do raw materials sourcing, and at the same time, every country, especially on defense and security issues, wants and works to get more and more independence, to be more self-sufficient, to gain sovereignty. Okay. Bearing in mind that India is depending approximately 70% of its sourcing in defense and security of a single country, what do you think about gaining more diversification and India being more diversified in sourcing for their needs, apart, of course, of working hard for being more self-sufficient? I'm sure that India is working and has a lot of capability of being independent, but still depending on a single source country. What do you think about gaining diversification? Thank you.
I think a very good question, I think. So diversification versus Atmanirbhar. So who would like to venture into it? So Hari Mohanji yet again.
Yeah, please.
You would like to answer the question? Okay, please. So can we have the mic there, please?
Give the mic to him.
So if you just wait a moment, sir, just a moment. So we'd like to welcome Madam Alka Nangia Arora ji, the Joint Secretary NRI from Ministry of MSME, as also the CMD of NSIC, a major body which actually promotes the MSME in the country today. So, Madam, a warm welcome to you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, you would want to express some views on diversification versus Atmanirbharta. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a very short answer to the question from the gentleman from Spain, GECI. And in fact, I'd be meeting him after an hour or so when we have a meeting slotted with him. But more importantly, what I wanted to tell this August audience here is the very fact that India has gone in for purchase of C-295 from Spain and not gone in for Antonov from Kyiv, Ukraine, itself goes to suggest that India has already gone into diversification. I think that should be enough to answer all the questions.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure your B2B meeting with Mr. Armando will also explore these possibilities of diversification and Atmanirbharta at the same time. Can I request my friend, my new friend, which I have made lately, Andre, who's been into India only for a week or 10 days, to make a comment or say something? Can we have the mic here, please?
Andrei Arnudov from Arcus Group, Bulgaria. My question is going to go a little bit away from the topics you've been talking about so far. I want to talk about the Make in India program.
Okay.
That's the question which is very important to us. Since a lot of companies are going to be stepping on the market here to collaborate with the environment of factories. In what way is the educational system responding to this, and are you able to provide the employees, professional employees, for this big venture? Because a lot of companies will enter the market under the rules of the Make in India program. And are you going to be able to provide the employees? There are going to be thousands of people needed. Thank you.
So Make in India, good thing. I think from his point of view, would we be able to provide enough professionals and trained people for working in the factories of multinational companies when they decide to make in India?
Along, you are saying that when a multinational company wants to set up an industry here and there's no dearth of professionals and engineers and technicians in this country. We are, the professionals of this country are serving in many countries.
In many
So
countries.
I don't think there is any shortage of professionals and engineers and technicians in this country. If anybody wants to set up a industry.
You want to say something? You'd like to add something? Okay, so I think this answer comes from the former chairman of OFB, which is the Ordnance Factory Board. So I think he's a good source of information that yes, there should not be any dearth of talent when it comes to that.
May I? At the same time, so if you have any specific technical requirement which you feel is not being met, I'm sure you can share it, and a Chamber of Commerce can pass it to the government and we can train those people. But we have a fair number. Sorry, someone was saying something.
I'm Colonel Malan from the EME. I've also been a chief executive of Punjab Breweries and UB Group. When we were doing technical collaboration with Britishers to make beer in India, I was asked, can you produce this quality of brewers, engineers, and things like that? I said, we can give you multiples of 10 times your requirement in 3 days. So Bass Brewers of UK was so happy and satisfied. And so it happened also with Germans. Like Mr. Mohan has said, India is rich in talent, India is rich in qualification, and India is very good in training and education. So rest assured, we can be the world leaders, and anybody anywhere in the world require any type of manpower, India can supply readily and willingly. Reasonable cost.
Okay.
So rest assured, the world can look at us, and I can say with confidence that we can give you the best possible trained manpower qualified to deliver anywhere in the world on anything and anything.
Wonderful. Thank you for building up that confidence. And I'm sure
I wish
he's
to give
smart.
2 examples. I wish to give 2 examples. We had taken technology for manufacture of T-72 tanks from Russia, and this was taken sometime in 1982. And I would not name the subsystem because that would be slightly inappropriate. But one of the subsystem which we were to establish in Heavy Vehicles Factory Avadi, and while it was being produced with the conventional machines in Russia, and when we were producing with the CNC machines. And as per the testing parameters, 2 liters of leakage was permitted in an assembly in a particular manner. And that leakage, in case of assembly which we produced, it was only 400 ml. So we were, as compared to 2 liters, it was only 400 ml. So this is how means, so far as technological advancement is concerned, skill set is concerned, and engineering knowledge is concerned, talent is concerned, you have enough in this country. I would give one more example during this COVID crisis, when our whole country has gone under lockdown on 23rd of March 2020, and this country was producing personal protective equipments, PPE kits, maybe some 3,000, 4,000 numbers per day. And the way the COVID threat was there on the country, the requirement was 2 to 3 lakh PPE kits per day. And we also had the problem in the testing capability, and even testing details were not available. And our engineers have developed that testing capability and set up a testing capability all over the country within a period of around 20 days. And within a month, we have jacked up the production of PPE kits from 2 to 3,000 numbers to 4 lakh numbers per day. And we stopped importing.
And started exporting.
So
yeah.
this is the kind of capability available in the country. And when these PPE kits from 3,000 numbers to 5 lakh numbers, in the 5 lakh numbers, 95% contribution was from MSMEs.
Okay, thank you, Harimonji. And I just like to quickly add, when we were short of ventilators, we couldn't have had the time to develop the cabinets, the molds. So the molds available for washing machines in the country were used to actually manufacture ventilators to supply to hospitals. So that's how innovative we can get with, of course, the technical capabilities. I'd like to just ask one more guest who's all the way from Bulgaria with us, Mr. Yulian Vichev, to say something or ask anything which you'd like to do. Can we have the mic here, please? Can we increase the volume there? Yes, yeah.
I was thinking what Andres said, sorry for back to his words. Just one slide clarification, maybe as I understand this question. He's speaking not in general and great capacity any, let's say, high quality engineers. I think he's going, especially for the, say this is specific industry. He doubts we have high capacity and big number of quality engineers. Just more focus on the making the project in this industry and maybe just the involvement of more, let's say, efforts in the preparation of people in these projects. Let's say he's accomplishing one project in India, but maybe because we also have such projects, just the additional efforts to put some more into education of people into this project. This is like a suggestion from our point of view as we are producers. And we believe there is a huge potential of developing this as additional part of the Made in India project. In each project to have more focus on education also. And I believe this is something very positive, and for sure it has a hidden potential that maybe we are not considering at the moment, but further I believe we will find it out. So this is what I would like to add as just verification.
Yeah, good to know that. Yeah, Chair, sir.
So what I can like request you that our chamber can become the interface between the industry and your requirements. We can be an interface, and we have such MOUs with the different countries. So I would request you to kindly reconsider this.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. I think we've had a very exciting Q&A session and a lot of information. Yes, we have the Honorable Defense Attaché from Hungary. Over to you, sir.
Good morning or good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is László Mak, and I'm coming from the Hungarian embassy. And please allow me to share a few observations here and a few experience from my life. I feel that during this session that on one side we have the representative of the enterprises, and on the other side we have the examination boards, so they are fighting with each other. One of my observations in my life, I was in NATO, I was in the Hungarian Defense Forces, that when we are talking about what kind of weapon a country needs to fight future wars, we need to start from the big strategic framework. And unfortunately, SMEs and the military industrial complex is not fully aware of the big strategic framework. The big strategic framework starts with national security policy, which is approved by the parliament. The next step is the national military strategy, which is a political and military document, because the parliament still has a say how much soldiers and what equipment we need. And after the national military strategy is broken down according to the arms and services, and we have capabilities. What I heard here today is all these development bureaus, but I would vote for capability requirement branch, which is, to my understanding, a little different. It doesn't mean that the capabilities are set, but the capabilities can change. And I can tell you that in NATO, in every headquarters, we have capability branches. So, and this would polarize the mind of the small and medium enterprises, because they should know what kind of weapon we need. Because when we are developing some technology, we can go 1,000 ways, but if we know what the future weapon we need, it's a much better lead in this process. The second thing I would like to share is that I was posted in Moscow as the head of the NATO representation for 2 years. And it was like 10, 12 years ago, and the Russian published a picture of intercontinental ballistic missiles in the paper. I mean, it was the success time for the Russian ICBMs and Bulava and stuff like that. And it was a picture depicting the interior of the intercontinental ballistic missile. And I'm coming from air defense, so I know the technology of the 70s and 80s. And on the picture, it was depicted the technology of the 70s and 80s. And I said, this is a nonsense that 900 companies are producing parts to the intercontinental ballistic missiles. They kept busy 900 companies just to pay salaries to 900 companies. Unemployment matters in every country. So this is the country who needs to decide what kind of military industrial complex we need, and how to involve the small and medium enterprises into it. So the rules must be set up for this one. So what happened? Okay, Mr. Putin understands this, that 900 companies involved in one ICBM is kind of nonsense. So he made a few conglomerates, military conglomerates, of course, and they were parenting some of those companies who were in the process just for getting the salaries. Okay, and they subsidize later on these small companies that to pay salaries to the workers. Okay, so this is still the country political and military leadership, the highest leadership needs to decide what kind of filter in the industrial complex we need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And in fact, very, very important feedback, I think, coming from a NATO representative, erstwhile NATO representative into Moscow. Sir, we definitely value your opinion, and the capability requirement branch is definitely going to form a critical part of the minutes of the meeting or the conference, which we will also advocate to the government at different quarters. So with that note, I'll hand over the session back to our experienced moderator to kindly take it forward. Thank you one and all for a very interesting Q&A.
Thank you, Shri Vivek Sehgal, and thank you for the audience questions. I think for someone like me from the media and witnessing all this, it was much learning to even ask, even understand from what you shared here. Many thanks for that. I would now like to invite Shri M.K. Gupta to offer a memento for our special guest who has arrived. Srimati Alka Nangia Arora, Joint Secretary, Ministry of MSME and CMD NSIC as well. We welcome you, ma'am, to this program. The audience may join me in welcoming Ms. Alka Nangia, and I, without further ado, invite her to the podium for her address.
A very warm good afternoon to all of you, and my very, very sincere apologies, because this is a program which is very, very close to my heart. But today we were all in the parliament. We had some start questions, and this is the year end. So many of you who are aware of how the ministries work, it is like 12 in the night for most of us. So thank you for bearing with me, and here I am. So I just didn't want to miss. It was like, whether I should come, not come, so that also took another 5 minutes. But my friend and colleague Mercy, she said, no, just come. And it's a great program, and we're having some good discussions. So thank you. And I think we've already I think we are behind schedule. Yeah. So the guest of honor today, Mr. Ibrav Akailbek, I hope I have pronounced it right, sir. Mr. Gupta, Chairman, PhD, Chambers, Defense and HLS Committee. Harimon, sir, ex-Chairman and Director General, Ordnance Factory Board. Air Vice Marshal, Sudhanshu Saxena. Major General Bipin Bakshi, who's a friend. My best friend is from school, is married to him. So it is another, I think I've not met him for the past 2 years. So it's great to see you here, Bipin. And I think Mercy, who's my friend and colleague from the ministry, Mr. Sanyal, with whom I've been working for, I think, the past 4 or 5 years. We've been, on this, whenever we have programs like this, it brings it into refocus that, how important is each sector and how much nurturing we need to do for each sector. So from the Ministry of MSME, we have been working on many of the verticals. Today is the day for defense, yes, but I would also like to tell you that from the Ministry of MSME, we are focusing on all the parameters and most of the verticals which comprise, as MSME, MSMEs are in every corner of the world. The pandemic, I think one of the members from the August gathering mentioned that, during the pandemic, many things have come to the forefront, and most of us have realized that, there is a inner strength all of us have as human beings, the industry, and the world has shrunk for all of us.
during that period, during 2021 and 21-22, the ministry had online meetings with at least, I think, 100 countries. We had written to the Indian ambassadors across the world. And I'm very happy to tell at least, I think nearly 50, 60 of them responded with a great response, because what happens is that, there are special forums for bigger companies. Like when you look at what the Commerce Ministry is doing, or when you talk with MEA, it's always the big daddies who get everything. So our endeavor from the ministry has been that, we make platforms, and happy to announce that many of the B2B platforms we have worked on. And during the pandemic period, the meetings which both Mercy and I used to be chairing with many of the countries, we have been successful in creating these platforms, because once you create a platform, then it is for the companies to come forward. And in today's time, the concept is of a global value chain. No longer it matters that where you make whichever product. Like I have myself, just to tell you all, I come from Defense Account Service. So I have my career started with the Ordnance Factory. I was posted at Damdam, Kashipur in near Kolkata. So I have some experience of the factories. Then I moved to the Navy. I was the financial advisor to the Naval Dockyard for 3 years in Mumbai. And before I came to the MSME ministry, I was the financial advisor to the Western Air Command. And so I have seen it all, and I know becoming a unit, a MSME unit is not so easy when we are talking about the defense sector. But yes, a lot of decisions which have been taken that the OEMs can come in our country with the revision of the definition, which has been done after many, many years of the MSMEs. We have a world which has opened up to us, and it is now for us and like chambers like PhD who have organized a program today. In fact, one of the very first programs we did was, I think, in 2017-18, and then the pandemic came, where we had, I think, a 3-day program, a program at a very big level, which we had organized. My request to everybody who's here, please, whatever are your thoughts, where you think that the MSMEs in which area, because when we talk about the defense supply chain, there is a lot of difference, and a lot of differences are the way the Army looks at their procurement, the Navy looks at theirs, and the Air Force looks at theirs. And in between, Coast Guard has been a success story, because many of the MSMEs, the smaller ships which are being made in the country, are being all, and now with the coming in of the Atmanirbhar Bharat, there's a lot which all of us can do together. And the procurement policy of the ministry has also basically said that 25% has to be taken by the MSMEs. We have been interacting from the ministry with all the public sector enterprises in the country. We have a portal running where they all have a login. We know what is being uploaded, what is their procurement plan for the year. My request to PhD chambers would be that maybe we could have another program, and here Mercy, because this program comes under Mercy's division, we could have a more focused program where we look into the procurement and the supply chain of what HAL is doing, or what Goa Shipyard is doing, and where we can contribute more from the MSME side. Sometimes what happens is that many of the MSMEs who are also working with us, they themselves are not aware what this sector can provide to them, because this sector is sometimes, most of the people feel, having worked in the defense side myself, that this is a kind of a closed sector. It takes you years to take an entry, then the clearances take time. So we need to focus on how to get the MSMEs, and for them to understand that this is the supply chain, this is what we need to do, and this is how, if an OEM is doing something, how do you become the ancillaries? How do you start working with them? Just to give you a small example, when I was with the command, Western Air Command, we were doing a lot of work with Bell. And the meeting which I had with the chairman Bell that time, it made us realize that many of the MSMEs which are in and around the area of Bangalore, though they are working on the defense side, but they do not know that, these are the kind of things which Bell needs. And many of our stuff was going back and forth to Israel, and which used to take us nearly 3 to 4 months, because even a small part, if it is, some team would come, it would look into it, and then it would go back. And by the time it would come, 6 months would have gone. So here are certain things where we can look into what is it that we from the ministry is always our ministry is always at the forefront. We are always ready to be part of any sector which wants us to be there. I think in the past 1 week, we've had programs ranging from the plastic sector. Then I think yesterday we had one on capacity building. Capacity building also, I think, is a very, very important area where we need to focus, not only from our ministry side, but also when the chambers are looking into it. I would, Mr. Sehgal, request you that, if we can look into what we should be doing on the capacity building, because we have a very strong skill development program going in the ministry. And we sponsor, in fact, we have 18 technology centers. And I would request that if you can send us a letter to the ministry, and maybe, a team could go around, Mr. Gupta, where we could see that, what do our technology centers have to offer, and many of the new technology centers which are coming up, where we could do the add-ons, because like most of them are generic in nature, though we have one on perfumery in UP, then the one which is in Bhubaneswar is doing a lot of work on AI, and they have been doing a lot of work with ISRO. So we have that kind of capability. And I think it was mentioned that, where we talked about the PP kits. So when the pandemic came, and the Honorable PM had given this call to all the ministries that, do whatever you can. And so a small example, like the sanitizer pump, which we, all take it for very granted today. It's a very technical product, because it has 15 parts in it. And our tool rooms came forward, because we met the entire plastic industry was there. But as we know, tooling is a very important component when we get into any product line. So the tool rooms and the industry work together. So what we need is that the industry, as well as what the government has to offer. So we are in the process of setting up another 20 smaller tool rooms, and they are coming up on the hub and spoke model. So these are the facilities which are available. The government is giving this already. All we need to do is publicize them, so that, more and more people can use them. And together, I think the future for MSMEs, I think it has never been more brighter. The P world is opened up. You are happy to announce that NSIC has been given a 10,000 crore fund, which is called the Shri Fund, which we have named. And here we will be investing into the micro, small and medium enterprises, whom we think can go a long way. So the private sector is coming together with the government sector. And so I think the time is just right. How much nurturing we do to which sector, it is all in our hands. So with that, I will not take more time. Wishing you all the best. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Ms. Alka Nangia Arora, for striking such a note of optimism and also spelling out so many steps on both capability as well as collaboration. This is really much appreciated, and we totally understand your commitment to Parliament and the reason for the delay. But at the end, the fact is that you did make it. May we have a round of applause for all our guests who have shared so much today. I'd like to invite Ms. Mercy Ipao, Joint Secretary, Ministry of MSME, to deliver a vote of thanks.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for making this session a very lively one. And the Q&A is one session where we learn the most in all our summits and conferences. So thank you for coming forward with your questions and also the answers that were provided by the experts here on the dais. From the Ministry of MSME side, I extend my very sincere gratitude to the PhD chambers for doing a fantastic job at such a short time and for inviting all our foreign friends and also the industry people, the media, and the entrepreneurs who are having questions. All these people we saw on this platform and having a very vibrant conversation, networking. And although I was not part of the B2B because of the office work, I'm very sure it was very enlightening. I'm sure it has been a learning experience, and also with many new hopes and many new ideas that have come to your mind because you have come to attend such a conference. So thank you, PhD Chamber, our technical partner, for organizing this. It's a second international conference on defense security, but we hope that this will go on getting better and also more frequent so that we can really handhold and then create a supportive ecosystem for our MSMEs. I would like to extend a very sincere thanks to our honorable guest, Deputy Defense Minister from Kyrgyzstan, Mr. Ibrahim Akilbek. Thank you so much, sir, for taking such an initiative with your team and also actively engaging with us with your ideas and also sharing your experiences and knowledge with us. I would like to thank Major General Dr. Bipin Bakshi and Hari Mohan sir, and Air Vice Marshal Sudhanshu Saxena sir, and of course the Chair of PhD, Mr. M.K. Gupta, the foreign delegates and the representatives from various embassies sitting here, the industry members, media, and all the friends. Thank you so much. Don't take me that, I'm now concluding the summit. We still have B2B and many exciting interactions, lunch including. And so don't think that I'm closing this up. But yes, from the MSME side, we always look for opportunities where we can engage all the stakeholders so that we have a better understanding and we get ideas from you people because you are in the field, you are the sector experts. So we would like to address the gaps, whatever we can from the government side. Yesterday was a very good time for everyone. I'm sure it has been a very good knowledge building, especially hearing from the Additional Secretary Ministry of Defense, who has given us a whole lot of new interventions and steps that the government has taken in Ministry of Defense. Because we are right now specifically on the defense and security sector, he has given us a whole new chapter. And so I'm very sure that is a very positive step, and to encourage the entrepreneurs to come forward and take up the manufacturing hub from the defense side. Good news is that now India is considered the second most preferred destination for manufacturing. So we are hoping that defense will be a major sector in that as well. As you have already heard from many of us in different sessions, what Ministry of MSME is doing, the various schemes and interventions that we have brought about. Overall, the government, if you see how the government is really pushing forward to become a leader in manufacturing and export, you saw how the Gati Shakti, the PLI, and also the UPI, Digital India, Startup India, and some of these very major programs that the government of India is introducing is to help our entrepreneurs. And I know that startup and MSME comprise a major part of that. So we in the government are really doing policy changes and bringing in interventions that will be conducive for the development of ecosystem for entrepreneurship. So take advantage of that and then stay in touch with us. We are always open to academia. We are always open to industry. And we are here to listen to you and to handhold you. So thank you very much for your participation and for contributing your valuable suggestions. Also, I know one gentleman has given about the suggestion to the MSMEs. Just a quick reference to that, I have written down, we are having 18 tool rooms. Ma'am Alka has already mentioned that. 120 are in the pipeline. 20 will be of a major tool room, which will act as a hub, and there will be 100 spokes. And also in our Vision 2047, some of the contributions that we have made to the economic activity sector is that we will have a tool room in all the districts so that every SME, MSMEs will have access to the hands-on technology and also the required tools that are required for the growth of industry. So we are looking forward to that. And hopefully in the next 2-3 years, you will see a lot of things happening, changing on the ground. And also for connection to the contact person in the district level, state level, we have DIs all across, we have tool rooms, and we have our other organizations under the MSME umbrella, such as NSIC. So you can contact them. Otherwise, Digital India, everything is on our website. So if anybody is interested to know how to contact Ministry of MSME, website is a great place to visit. So with that, I would like to thank all of you. And I hope that your B2B that's coming up after lunch will also be a very interesting session. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Ms. Mercy Pao. One quick addition is that I would like to invite Shri Vivek Sehgal to spell out some details for the upcoming B2B technical sessions.
So thank you very much, Mercy Pao, for concluding the session, which is going to be followed by B2B. We'll have a 15-minute break. And I just like to put up some information, which is also on the slide right now behind you, behind the dais, as well as in front of all the audience. So we will be having the B2Bs for today with GECI from Spain, EMCO from Bulgaria, Arsenal from Bulgaria, Arcus Armaco from Bulgaria, Kintex from Bulgaria. The Kyrgyzstan delegation will be housed in a conference room, which is outside this room on the right-hand side. The people wearing organizer badges will be there to guide you for this. And then we also have the Kazakhstan companies also doing B2Bs. So all these B2Bs, after 15 minutes of a quick break, we will have it in the area which is right behind you, behind the audience, which is already prepared for the B2Bs. And then after the B2Bs, we will break for lunch. So that's the plan ahead. So have a quick, rather very late coffee break, but I think a small price to pay for, I think, gaining so much of knowledge and connects while we are here today. Thank you very much. And we see you after 20 minutes for the B2Bs. Thank you.
Left my pen here. Anyway.
I saw one pen here. I was about to hand it over to.
Oh,
Is
so
this
nice.
yours?
It has my name also.
Okay,
By the way.
excellent. I was about to hand it
Thank
to
you,
the
ma'am.
consul. Thank you. The wrap of a great session, and it's time for me, Vasanthi Hariprakash, to sign off. It's been great being in Delhi. It's now time for me to return to Bangalore, but with a lot of memories.